Tonight on Best Bits, Manuel Souza, Salam Balagioki, Ion Cutelabra strangulated Umar Sai, Marwan Rahiki broke Harry Hardwick's jaw, and Kevin Vallejos thrashed Josh Emmett. Welcome back to Best Bits, UFC Vegas, UFC Fight Night Vegas, 114, we've done 114 fights in the Apex. Oh, it's so good, we love it, we love it. It was Kevin Vallejos versus Josh Emmett, that was the main event. We're going to go through all the fights, we're going to start at the bottom. This is the definitive recap, okay, this is the recap. Okay, get with the times, guys. Pierre Rodriguez versus Sam Hughes, first fight of the night. Sam Hughes just got left in the dust, man. Sam Hughes just got dominated. There was no point in the fight where I thought Sam Hughes could get back into it. She just had no answer for Pierre Rodriguez. Just absolutely no answer for any of it, really. I think mostly it was the grappling. I think once she got kind of surprised by the grappling prowess of Rodriguez, she kind of was like, oh damn, what am I going to do? And then she started second guessing the striking and whatnot as well. And I think it was just kind of a domino effect from there, if you will. And yeah, Sam Hughes gets beaten in a decision. Not the most entertaining of fights, I want to be honest with you. But, you know, WMMA, women's MMA, starting the card off. You know, we're at the Apex, starting off an Apex card. We weren't expecting, you know, the greatest fight in the world. But, you know, it was a fight. It was a fight that happened that one time. Moving on. Hecha Souza versus Luan Lacerda. Decent little scrap. Again, we're not really setting the world on fire with this one. But it was, you know, there was decent moments. There was decent little back and forth every now and again. You know, slowed down to take a little break mid-fight. You know, not really the most entertaining, but you know, there were moments where they kind of had some exchanges and whatnot. It wasn't like write the fight off, oh, that was terrible, or I'll go do something else. But yeah, you were I don't know, 15-1, 13-3 going into the fight. It was Lacerda, Souza 15-1. Like, I was expecting a finish. I was expecting violence, and I suppose it was violent, but you know, there was no finish. I wanted a finish. We wanted to see someone get pasted out. We wanted to see someone get strangulated, but we didn't get it. And I think that would have been like a okay, you know. I think the card was just okay. It wasn't a sleeper card by any means, in my opinion, but whatever. Bia Mesquita versus Monse Rendon. I can read, I swear. Women get a finish. The women get a finish. So Mesquita gets the submission on Rendon. Again, just outmatched in the grappling. And that's just kind of how it be, to be honest. That's just how it be. Mesquita really good. The lady goat really good in the grappling. I mean, I suppose that's like, I think sometimes in women's MMA, you just kind of need one skill to fall back on and you can just run away with it. It is a good few years behind men's MMA, and I feel like maybe like 15 years ago, you could get away with just having one specific skill. Like, I'm just really good at getting a ghillie. I'm just really good at fighting off my back and tricking you into a submission. Like, I feel like that's how it used to work, and I feel like women's MMA is getting to that point. I suppose it's always been at that point, though, hasn't it? Because Ronda just... yeah, whatever. Yeah, Mesquita gets it done in round one. Get that whistle. Mesquita gets it done in round one fairly quickly in round one. I mean, we go past the halfway point, but she manages to get it done fairly easily. Doesn't seem really challenged by Rendon. A little bit of a mismatch, maybe. I don't know. It's funny because on the Mexico cards, you know, we just fed all these Mexicans really easy fights, and since, you know, two cards since that, Mexico hasn't won a fight. They've just been getting absolutely slaughtered. So yeah, that's just how it be, I guess. The next fight was Eric Anders versus Brad Tavares. Decent scrap, to be fair. It was a decent scrap. They went to war. They bonked each other up. Another one where they just kind of took a moment to kind of just rest on each other. And I get it. They're going hard. They're going at a high pace. They're throwing with bad intentions from start to finish. But this is the moment really where the card kind of started to pick up. And I don't think I think start three fights, and then it starts getting good is a little bit for me. But that's just how it be, I suppose. Eric Anders versus Brad Tavares was actually a decent scrap though. We didn't get a finish, but we were close multiple times, man. They were just beating all hell out of each other. Really good back and forth, really good determination from both of them. But Eric Anders did manage to steal the fight. He did manage to pull ahead. I liked the decision. I felt like it went the right way. I don't think there was I don't know. I suppose maybe you could contest it, but I don't think so. I think Brad Tavares was soundly beaten by Eric Anders. I think it was a good back and forth fight, but I think Eric Anders won near enough every exchange. Like he just came out the better of all of them. And Brad Tavares, he hung in there and he kept coming, he kept pushing the pace, and he kept trying to stay in the fight and trying to find a way back into it. But Eric Anders, man, just the power, I suppose. I think every time Brad Tavares would kind of try to mount an offensive to try and get himself back in and kind of win some momentum back from Eric Anders. Eric Anders would just land a big shot and then follow it up, and it was like, oh, never mind, we'll just reset and try again. And then there was just long drawn out exchanges, just where we were getting all sloppy and getting all over each other and crashing into each other, and it's just all over the place. But it's entertaining as all hell. So yeah, Eric Anders manages to get the decision over Brad Tavares. I liked it. This is where the card kind of like takes a little turn. The energy rises within the card. It's good. It starts getting better, if you will. So then we have Manuel Souza versus Vallejos. This was a banging fight. 3 rounds, back and forth, decent scrap, and then Manuel Souza. I mean, they were scrapping. They were all over the place, every position. Very sloppy again, but still entertaining. Like, we don't mind a bit of sloppy, a bit of lacking of technique, as long as we're going for it and it's entertaining, I suppose. Over on the Not So Lethal channel, if you will. That's how we like it. We like it unrefined and absolutely rugged. But yeah. Manuel Souza versus Vallejos. Souza manages to get it done in the 3rd round. Like quite late in the 3rd round. Let me take a quick look. It was towards the end. Yeah, so 4 minutes 12 seconds into round 3, right? Yeah, so the fight nearly over. Fight was nearly over, and he manages to put it on Oki right the last minute, if you will, literally the last minute. Within the last minute, he puts it on Oki and manages to get the finish. Absolutely slept him as well. Like, Oki went down, lights out cold. He wasn't like stiff as a board either. He just went to sleep, nice and relaxed. I'm sure he woke up feeling refreshed. I'm sure he was feeling fresh as a daisy, if you will. But yeah, absolutely, he went down like a sack of shit. It was rough. It was rough. But Souza gets it done, very entertaining, and yeah, that did mark really the upturn in the energy for the card, and it does really get better from this point onward. Then we had Elijah Smith versus Su Young Yu. However, I suppose you read it backwards, so it would be what Yu Young Su, versus Elijah Smith. Now, me and the missus have decided to throw a hat into the ring of who's going to win this fight. And, she has to listen to me talk about how great Asian fighters are all the time. And I'm like, oh, they fight like Mexicans. They're really gritty and really tough, and they get stuck in and they're happy to take a shot, to give a shot. And they're scrambling, heavy grappling. They've got this weird thing in Asia where, especially in Japan and Korea, they've got this really scramble, heavy grappling style. And then Elijah Smith just comes out, puts it on, so puts it on you, and beats him up, gets the submission fairly quickly in round 2. I suppose there was a moment in round 1 where I think you had been rocked or had been stung, and he fired back, and Smith kind of walked into it, and it was like, oh, don't do that, Smith. And that was like the moment. But no, unfortunately, you gets finished. And you know what? Smith gets the submission. I like Elijah Smith. I know, we don't like nepotism on this channel, but it's not like, Elijah Smith's coming from, like, Elijah Smith's dad was a champion, a long reigning champion, Elijah Smith, he was just in the UFC, so yeah. But yeah, Elijah Smith getting a submission, first submission in the UFC, I do believe, even though I think his base is in grappling, which is crazy, but he normally gets knockouts, I do believe. Powerful dude, good prospect. Good. When did he lose? I feel like, didn't he lose? Or am I thinking of somebody else? That's the real question. Let me just check real quickly. Let me just make sure. No, he didn't. He lost him in Fury. That was it. I'm thinking of somebody else. But yeah, absolutely spectacular. Keeping the momentum going. I don't know why I thought he'd lost. I don't know who I'm getting confused with. But yeah, keeping the momentum going. In fact, becoming one of my prospects to watch. One of my guys who's gonna really make some waves. Seeming to be really well rounded as well. Getting to see that he's well rounded is really good. And it's just a shame that that Su Young Yu had to fall victim to Elijah Smith on the climb. But that's just how it be. It's a dog-eat-dog sport. On to the next one. Vitor Petrino versus Stephen Asplund. I was hyped for this fight. I like Stephen Asplund. I know everyone likes Stephen Asplund. Fun guy to watch fight. Good on the microphone. Entertaining as anything. Decent back and forth scrap. Petrino just can fire with power at all times. He just has power at all times. I think condition-wise, they were kind of evenly matched, and they were both taking turns gassing out. And I think Petrino definitely had a better recovery, if you will. He definitely was recovering faster than Asplund, but then Asplund was lasting longer between neither recoveries. It was a weird matchup, but they definitely both gassed out. But they kept throwing all the way through the fight. Asplund got hurt bad. It looked like, Asplund might be getting finished here. He's hanging in there, and then boom, Asplund stuns Vitor Petrino, and Petrino looks like he's going to be out of there, and Asplund's putting it on him, and he's beating him up, he's beating him down, absolutely wailing on him, and then Petrino survives, and we reset and we carry on, and then the crowd's celebrating, the crowd's cheering for Asplund because he's a bit of a fan favourite, even though he's like brand spanking new. And so Petrino's like, no, that was not on, like, gives like a little, that was not on, even though I've just been rocked and dropped. And so Asplund like turns and pretends to pull down his pants, and pretends to show his ass to Petrino. I thought it was pretty entertaining, good sense of humour from Asplund. This is why we like to watch him. He's an entertainer, even when he was losing, he was still hyping the crowd up, the crowd started chanting USA, and it powered them up, man. It powered them up, and he threw a few more shots, and they got through. So, sometimes it works. Sometimes chanting USA in American really gives them a power boost, But yeah, Vitor Petrino wins the decision. Can't argue with it, to be fair. Asplund did put up a fight. It was still entertaining as anything. But yeah, Vitor Petrino gets it done. What a shame for Asplund. I don't think he loses any stock, to be honest with you. They both took a good beating. They both hung in there as well when they both could have easily quit and been finished. But yeah, so I don't think it's a bad fight for either of them, but it's a better fight for Petrino because he managed to get the win on the scorecards. On to the next one. Moitabek Orobai versus Chris Curtis. Boring fight. Just going to say it, boring fight. I'm not the biggest fan of Chris Curtis anyway. I'm just not the biggest fan of Chris Curtis anyway. I think he complains a hell of a lot. And for a fact, he's going to be... I haven't even checked, but I could go on X right now, or fucking Threads, or whatever these losers use. I could go on whatever social media Chris Curtis uses, and I guarantee you, probably Instagram, I can guarantee you Chris Curtis is crying about the fact that Moitabek Orobai just grappled with him and just held him against the cage and then just held him on the ground. And I can guarantee Chris Curtis is going to be complaining, oh, I came for a fight, not a wrestling match. It's like, you know what though, I'm kind of getting sick of it. Like, I'm sick of guys just coming in and wrestling the whole time. I am getting sick of it. But at the same time, learn to fucking grapple then. Learn to get the guy off you. I don't know. You want to stand and bang? Learn how to stay on your fucking feet then. How about that? I don't know. I feel like you can't just keep putting the blame on the guy who can grapple. Like, if he wants to be a coward and just hug and hump your leg the whole fight, that's his prerogative. But he can win by doing that. He can win by just doing that and controlling you the whole time. So I don't know. Do some shit. There was a couple of moments where Chris Curtis was just like, he's got hold of me on the fence and I don't really want to waste the energy trying to get off. There's a minute left. I think I'll just accept this position and wait. And he's in a perfect position to just be dropping elbows on the side of the head of Orabai. Orabai just like whatever. And then it took until the third round for Chris Curtis to start dropping those elbows on Orabai, and Orabai immediately reacted to them and changed the way his position. And it was like, if you could have done that earlier in the fight, you might have been able to create a scramble or some shit. But whatever, Chris Curtis just immediately, oh, now he's hugging me again. No, I'm getting grappled again. I can't stand him, man. I can't stand him. Really can't. Really, really can't. But yeah, Orabai as well. Pretty boring. I like Orabai. I do like Orabai. I just, not a good fight. But then again, Chris Curtis is good, and Chris Curtis can hit hard. I don't know. Maybe it was the right decision for Orabai to just grapple with Chris Curtis. I didn't think Chris Curtis would be able to put Orabai away. I thought Orabai, even in the stand-up, would probably be able to beat Chris Curtis. I don't like Chris Curtis. But yeah, Orabai gets it done. Kind of kills the pace of the card, in my opinion. Just hugged Chris Curtis from start to finish. Body lock. Chris Curtis was in... How's this for optics, yeah? Chris Curtis is in his corner after round one going, how did he take me down? How did he take me down? And his corner's like, just body lock and trip. Was it a single leg? No, it was, he worked the body lock sequence. He just body lock, tangled up your legs, pulled you down. Because like, was it a single leg? Like, no, man. Wait, he's getting you down. He's hooking your feet. He's hooking your feet. He's getting you down onto one knee, and then he's grabbing your foot so you can't use that leg again. Like, it's not. I don't know. Maybe it's hard to tell when like you're the one being grappled, and I'm sat here watching it like. He's grabbing your foot, Chris. You've got no leg to use. I don't know. It was weird. I feel like Chris Curtis should know this. I don't know. I feel like Chris Curtis is... Yeah, because his corner's telling him, like, no, he's getting the body lock and he's tripping you up. And he's like, oh, it felt like a single leg. And it's like, do you know what? And then immediately at the start of the second round, Orabai does go for the single leg. But then just works to the fence and then goes back to some fence wrestling, some cage grappling. Constantly being compared to Khabib the entire time by the commentary. I mean, yeah, whatever, I guess. I mean, it was very Khabib-like. He was tying up the legs, just wearing on Chris Curtis the entire time. I don't know, man. It was like comparing it to one of Khabib's most boring performances, I suppose. Yeah, man. That was Khabib at his most boring, right there in Maitabek Orabai. I don't know what to say. There was just nothing done. There was nothing done the whole fight. Chris Curtis could fight tomorrow. I don't think there was a scratch on him. Seriously, I think Orabai took more damage than Chris Curtis did, but Chris Curtis just spent the whole time on his hands and knees or fucking with his face getting cheese grated against the fence. So how can you score it for him? But yeah, technically I feel like Chris Curtis probably did more damage, but no, it's just not enough. On to the next one. We had Charles Johnson versus Bruno Silva. Split decision. Charles Johnson, man, I always say this about Charles Johnson. He fights to level. It's so weird. Such a weird guy. It's just like, you put him in there against someone who's really good, he's really good. You put him in there against someone who's terrible, he's terrible. It's bizarre. But yeah, you put him in there against Bruno Silva, someone who I also think isn't very good, in my opinion. I know there's some Bruno Silva enjoyers out there. I'm not one of them. I was rooting for Charles Johnson. I was rooting for Charles Johnson all the way. He gets it done. I don't know, man. Split decision. Wasn't the most entertaining of fights, I'll be honest with you. I kind of got distracted and didn't watch a lot of it. Yeah, I'm just being honest with you. I got distracted. Didn't watch most of it. I think there was something interesting going on YouTube or something. I don't even know. I can't remember what was going on. Something interesting happened and I was like, I'm going to go do that for 5 minutes. And then I came back and the fight was over, so I missed the last round. But, before that, there was a fight happening. And there indeed was a fight. It was indeed one of the fights of all time. On to the next one. Ion Cutelaba versus Umar Sy. Decent little scrap. Ion Cutelaba getting it done. Just latched it up, man. Just latched it up. They had these sloppy exchanges where they were crashing in and going between the grappling and the stand-up exchanges. Cutelaba just takes advantage of I think it was a slip. It might have even been a slip. But Umar Sy is just kind of crashing forwards, trying to snatch at the legs. I think maybe he dropped them. I can't remember. Umar Sai's crawling forwards, trying to sweep up the leg, trying to grab a leg of Ion Cutelaba, and basically just gives the neck to Ion Cutelaba. Cutelaba just snatches that up, rolls into mount, and gets a mounted guillotine. Did he jump the gilly? I can't even remember. My nose is so stuffy. But yeah, jumps in the guillotine, ends up in mount in the gilly. Umar Sai taps like immediately, just straight away, and a mounted guillotine hurts like hell. Hurts really bad. Like feels like your neck's getting pulled off your body, and then at the same time you're being strangled. Taps almost immediately. Can't blame him for it. But yeah, Ion Cutelaba getting it done in the first round. Ion Cutelaba by guillotine, mounted guillotine submission in the first round in the Big 26. Crazy to see. Crazy to see. Over Umar Sai. We don't like Umar Sai. Look, we don't. They've got skill, okay. The French fighters have got some skill. I'll give them that. But you know, there's a long-standing rivalry between Britain and France, so we can't give them credit unless it like makes us look good. In which case, they're the greatest fighters in the world. Anyway, Marwan Rahiki versus Harry Hardwick. This was a decent little scrap. Boss little war, back and forth the entire time, just beating on each other, just beating each other up from start to finish. Harry Hardwick was eating shots, man, eating some cracking shots, like over and over again, getting kicked in the head as well, just eating them. Delicious, give me another, over and over again. And then firing back as well, like every time it looked like Rahiki was close to finishing Hardwick, he would just fire back. Hardwick would just fire something back, and he would sting Rahiki, and Rahiki would have to reset. He would have to reset because he'd get stung, he'd get wobbled, he'd get stung. He'd see a flash. He'd be like, "Whoa, okay, he hit me with something," and he'd have to reset. And then he'd reset, and he would reset really well. Rahiki would reset really well, and then start punishing Hardwick again. And it went like that for basically the whole fight. There was a point where again Rahiki had Hardwick hurt, and Hardwick fires a lovely little counter in the heat of battle, in the heat of the exchange, and has Rahiki like stumbling backwards, hurt bad. And it was a decent back and forth fight. I could have given it 1-1. To be honest with you, I could have given it 1-1 going into the third, but we didn't get it. Because in the second round, Harry Hardwick did have his jaw absolutely fucking broken by Rahiki against the fence. I think in the montage that you seen at the start of the video, I think that's the moment, because you see Harry Hardwick's like mouthpiece pop out and kind of start like hanging funny in his mouth, and he's got to fix it before he carries on with the exchange. But he doesn't like fix it, he kind of like adjusts it, and I think that's the moment, because from that point on his mouth is just hanging open, and it's a little bit like crooked. So yeah, so gets his jaw broken, says in the corner, "Listen, my jaw's broke, I can't carry on, I'm sorry." I'm sure that's in the montage as well at the start of this. But yeah, decent back and forth scrap. Harry Hardwick, man, another. What a shame, man. What a shame. Gets his legs kicked to all hell, and now he gets his jaw broken. It's not been a good UFC tenure for Harry Hardwick. Whew. On to the next one. Jose Delgado versus Andre Fili. Jose Delgado gets it done, man. A decent back and forth scrap. It was very, very, very back and forth. Like, I think at the end of the fight, I don't even know who's won. I think I've audibly said aloud, I don't even know who's won that one. I think it was a very close fight. I would struggle to say, you know, who won it. So I'm glad there's judges to make that decision for me. Jose Delgado manages to get the split decision win over Andre Fili. I don't know if I rate Andre Fili that highly. I didn't do predictions this week because it was a terrible card and I couldn't be bothered. And, you know, the card would just turn out to be average in the end anyway. It was the typical Apex Fight Night. Who cares? Fight Night. I might just start skipping Apex Fight Nights because I don't care anymore. It's so fucking boring. Anyway, let's not dampen the mood. Delgado versus Fili. I don't rate Fili that highly. I don't think he's terrible. I don't think he's the worst in the world. But there's just massive holes in his game that he's just never addressed, and he never will address. It's just not going to happen, I can tell. It's just never going to... He's never going to have a moment of reflection where he's like, man, I need to stop doing X, Y, and Z. You know? It's just never going to happen. But this was a close back and forth fight. And I think it was the desperate grappling of Delgado that managed to put him ahead of Feely in this fight on the scorecards. But you know, I could see there being some controversy. I could genuinely see there being people arguing on X or something over who won this one. Maybe to ruin someone's parlay. Who knows? Who knows? Next up, Gillian Robertson versus Amanda Lemos. Now, I didn't do predictions for this card, but I did predict this fight before it got postponed and pushed back. And I picked Gillian Robertson. Canadian women. Listen, Canada can't fight. Canada has a terrible talent pool. Awful fighters. Like the majority of Canadian fighters, awful. If you get a female fighter out of Canada, she's actually normally pretty good. I don't know why. I've got no idea why. All the men in Canada, all the male fighters from Canada, soy, terrible, awful, weak. Women from Canada, they can bang, man. They can scrap. I don't know what it is. Maybe all the women got the George St. Pierre gene. And you know, Gillian Roberts, I shouldn't say it. She looks a bit like George St. Pierre. I've said it anyway. Look, she gets it done, man. She beats Amanda Lemos, dominates Amanda Lemos, to be honest with you. I didn't see Amanda Lemos really having any answers for the spectacular work of Gillian Robertson. It's mad. How is the talent pool like that? How are all the men in Canada awful at fighting, but then all the women like are actually decent scrappers? It's crazy to think about. Maybe they just got the George St. Pierre blessing and the men didn't. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the aliens. The aliens, George. The aliens. Are you intoxicated? It is the aliens. But yeah, Gillian Robertson gets it done. You know, should we have had this as the co-main event? Probably not. But you know, Apex Fight Night. So we can do whatever the fuck we want, says the UFC in Paramount. But yeah, Gillian Robertson gets it done. It was entertaining. I won't lie. It went to a decision, sure. It goes to it's a women's fight. We were expecting it to go to a decision. It's like whoa, we got to finish when the women do it. But you know, we were expecting a decision. It was a clean decision, man. Start to finish. Gillian Robertson looked in control. Seemed to have the fight the entire time in the palm of her hands. Realistically, was running away with it. But yeah, dominant victory for Gillian Robertson over Amanda Lemos. And Canadian women continue to impress. And finally, main event, Kevin Vallejos versus Josh Emmett. Kevin Vallejos being fed an easy victory over Josh Emmett. Look, I don't want to be mean to Josh Emmett. I like Josh Emmett. But, you know, he's a can. They use him to build other people. He's a recognizable name. And you know, he's been in some good. He's the guy who gets knocked out. Like in all the fights, was like, oh yeah, you know, this guy, he's got a highlight reel. You know, he's in everyone's highlight reel, but he's the guy getting knocked out. You know, that's just Josh Emmett for you. And you know, he's got power, but that's all he's got. I mean, and that's what the fight really told us, is that Josh Emmett just has power, and if he can land that power, that's great. He could probably finish a fight, but if he can't land that power, then he's got nothing at all. Footwork paled in comparison to Kevin Vallejos. Honestly, Josh Emmett just got set up to lose. Like this was Kevin Vallejos' fight to win. They want Kevin Vallejos. They like him. They're trying to build him. They gave him Josh Emmett because it was an easy matchup. Kevin Vallejos did not fumble the bag. He managed to get it done. I mean, that's all that can really be said about it. This was how it was supposed to go. This was the script. This is what it said in the script. Kevin Vallejos chins Josh Emmett, you know? And, you know, people were comparing Vallejos to Taporia and whatnot. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe a little bit. Maybe because they crouch and then throw a counter straight. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, they both box. But yeah, decent performance from Kevin Vallejos. But like I say, it's not that impressive. He beat Josh Emmett, an old Josh Emmett, and it was a fight that he was clearly being set up to win. So yeah, okay, he won the gimme fight. Big whoop, right? Big whoop. But yeah, on to the next one, I suppose. UFC London next, right? That'll be entertaining, I suppose. We'll do a prediction for that one. That'll be more entertaining, hopefully. Anyway, if you enjoyed this Best Bits, subscribe for more. Leave a like down below. Perhaps, you know? Maybe. But until next time, keep your chin down and keep swinging. Peace and love. I'll see you around.